Hey guys, CJ, North Carolina Roaming Gnome, and
April, SoCal Mingo Tango.
Coming at you live after our first weekend here at King of the Hammers 2026 20th anniversary. So we thought we'd sit down at the end of the weekend and make a little bit of a recap video of the event and talk about some things that I learned on my first weekend out here, or my first time at King of the Hammers, and things maybe you should know before you head out here for the final weekend next weekend.
But first, we're going to be here for a minute, so let's have a little refreshment. I'm not as good at this one.
Obviously.
I need more training.
Yep, you're doing great. That's how you pour a cold Guinness.
All right.
All right, so we've kind of covered a few things this weekend in our little daily recaps, but I thought I'd give April a chance to kind of get some camera time too, because you guys have been hearing a lot from me, and also just talk about some things that we've experienced. So April, take it away.
Well, I've been out here, I think this is my third year out to the event, and I know last year I was out here and you were kind of hearing about it from the other side of the United States, and so I was really excited for you to come out to the event this year. How do you feel it was different? Like, you had, I'm sure, a vision in your head of what you thought this was going to be like from what you see on social media, because, you know, we only see the wildest and all the crazy stuff on social media. How did being out here this weekend differ for you than what you originally thought it would be like?
Well, you know, for me, I've been to a lot of big events, both Jeep events and other types of races. You know, I mentioned in one of my other intros that I grew up in Indiana. So as a kid, I went to the Indy 500 a lot. And, you know, what you see at King of the Hammers out here is an exploded view of what, you know, the inside of the racetrack was the Indy 500 growing up. It was just crazy. They had a section called the Snake Pit, and there was always mud wrestling and all kinds of stuff going on. And then the Indianapolis Motor Speedway kind of cleaned that up and put stands in there to get away from some of the shenanigans. But what we have out here, the scale of King of the Hammers and really Hammertown, which I will use as an over-encompassing term for everything out here, is not what I expected. It is absolutely enormous. The amount of people that were camping out here this weekend, and motorhomes that were just parked up on rocks and sitting at an angle, and I don't know how they slept on the inside of that thing, you know, and it was just absolute pandemonium.
Well, we woke up, we went to sleep, and we had found a spot far enough out that we thought, and we woke up and there was a toy hauler. I unzipped the tent and I was like, oh, there's a toy hauler here.
They showed up in the middle of the night. That's nice.
I think they just landed wherever. They probably couldn't see very well. I don't know what time they came in.
What's a long enough flat spot to pull this thing? It was a big toy hauler too. You know, that's one thing, right? The size of it. Like Johnson Valley completely and totally fills up out here. And, you know, but it's neat to see. I would say something that I didn't expect is the various subcultures. Okay. So April and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. So you've got some hardcore racers and hardcore racing fans, right? So that's culture number one. And those are the people that come out here, the teams, the race teams, and the race fans of those teams and the families. And they're here to race vehicles and win races. And so, you know, they are very distinct. You can see them, they're not really partying, they're not doing any of the crazy stuff. They are wrenching on vehicles, changing shocks, adjusting their suspension, doing the things from the pre-runs in between the pre-quals and then races. Then you have like the subculture of, you know, people who are themselves wheelers that just kind of want to be out here for this event. And that's kind of us, right? Like, I don't know necessarily all the different race teams. I know who sponsors which race teams because it's plastered all over the vehicles, but you know, I don't know much about the off-road driving scene and racing. So you have the wheelers and off-roaders that just want to come out and be a part of this thing. And that's probably, I would say, 70% of the people that are out here. It's just, it's an experience.
Oh, absolutely. And then you have your locals who've just been out here forever. They've wheeled out here for decades. A lot of them live out here as well. And so they're just a whole really cool group. And they're the ones who really know this all like the back of their hand. They come out here every single weekend and wheel all this, and it's no big deal to them. This is their backyard.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got all of, like, there's just a whole off-road community, your motorcycles, your side-by-sides, and they just want to come out for an event because it's just a cool event with all of the different things that are going on as well. So
Yeah, and it's a chance for them to just run all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, and when I say run all over the place, there's no like routes. People, and you can see people driving behind us and hear people driving behind us. For the most part, Johnson Valley is just wide open. There's scrub brush here, and people are just shooting their motorcycles, side-by-sides, buggies, you know, off-road Volkswagens. Like, we've seen some really cool
there were
rigs.
some minivan races at the last week.
Minivan races, yeah. And so, you know, those guys are just out here just having a good time, trying to get in the midst of all of it. And then probably the thing that most people see, right, and the last group I'll talk about, when you see King of the Hammer highlights on Instagram or Facebook or in a news report, you see a little bit about the race, and you always see Chocolate Thunder at night,
Yes.
right? It's always nighttime shots of all the carnage and craziness going on. I was scrolling Instagram this morning, and there was two teams were slugging it out on Chocolate Hammer last night, right? A guy pulled another guy off a rock, and, you know, and I'd love to say like, oh, that's awful. I'm a dude. I love watching stuff like that.
Oh,
so, you know, I'm here for it, right? Like, ooh, he got all of that one, you know, and I'm kind of, you know, I get a little excited seeing that. But, you know, that's a window, right? That's a window that starts at sundown and goes for, you know, X number of hours into the night. And, you know, everybody's out there doing what they do. But that's such a small part of King of the Hammers. It's just the part that gets broadcast so
Yeah.
much.
What is one thing that gets broadcast a lot that you're out here and you see is not necessarily true?
You know what you see from, you know, influencers and commentators is they go around and they're showing you snippets, right? Snippets of their day. And, you know, there's a specific like race team, right? Seat Time Syndicate. I'm a big fan of Holly, Mischief Maker. And I've been kind of looking for those guys, you know, hoping to just say hi. I caught a rig in front of one of the booths the other day. But, you know, I always root for people that have, you know, good social media presence and they're positive influences in our community.
Yeah.
And it's a lot harder to find people out here because, again, it's so big, it's so spread out. You know, I know probably 30 people that are out here right now easily.
But
And
you're trying to find someone in 10, 20,000 people.
yeah, it's not like I haven't seen a single person I know. I caught a picture of Dex in front of, you know, Dan's rig yesterday, Arctic Mojave from Chicago. You know, but he was running around doing stuff. And we've got some more friends coming in this week, and I'm looking forward to seeing them and spending time with them. But it's not as easy to get around, I guess, as, you know, just run up the road and stop in their booth and see them.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of vehicles moving along and a lot of people, and all the trailers look alike and all the tents look alike.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, it's not that easy. Love me some West Coast rap. All right, so that's kind of that.
All right. Well, I want to go over like a couple of things. You already talked about what did you expect and how is it different. What are some tips that you would have someone coming out for the first time? And I want to put it into a couple categories. So let's start with camping. If you're staying out here, and we're talking to more of the people who are not coming out here with a motorhome, or a trailer.
Well, so first let's describe how we camped this weekend. April and I both have tents from C6 Outdoors that are either rooftop tents or you can pull them off and put them on the ground. They're real lightweight. And when we go places and we don't want to take, you know, my orange off-road trailer, we take those C6 tents. They're called Rev Tent, and they're easy to set up right beside each other, and Dexter can sleep in one and we sleep in the other, and in the morning we let him shoot through. If you want to see that, we'll put that right here. And get some cuddles in the morning to warm up. So we tent camped. So we brought a little portable bathroom set up and our tents, some cooking stuff, chairs, coolers, right? We just added a new cooler to the mix with the PRP Iceco collab. And so if you're coming out here, know, one, it's loud. It's loud 24 hours a day, the entire time you're gonna be here.
Yeah.
There's no break from it.
Absolutely. I slept in my Jeep 2 years prior, and I mean, I did like that. There was a little bit more climate control, and there was also a little bit more of like a sound barrier as well. So it's definitely, when you're sleeping in the tent, there's no sound barrier at all.
No, in the tent, you absolutely feel like you are going to get hit by a side-by-side at any given time because they're rolling around all night long. We're camped kind of very close to Turkey Claw, where they hit the trail, and then a different section where they kind of come down from the top. And so, there'll be groups of side-by-sides, Jeeps, rigs, whatever, something that some guy made in his backyard, rolling through here at 2 o'clock in the morning, heading to night wheel. And it's really cool, but that sound travels on the desert floor. So when you're sleeping in a tent, you feel like you are absolutely in the middle of all of it, just hoping that, they're sober enough to not, run into your campsite. I told April last night, I said, hey, if you want to know what it's like to sleep in Bagram in about 2010 in Afghanistan, this is exactly what it feels like. There's vehicles going up and down the road. You got explosions going off because there's no fireworks at King of the Hammers, but there was fireworks that start at 10 o'clock and they kind of go until 2 a.m. And then there's motors and helicopters. At any given time, you got 3 or 4 helicopters flying around in the air. So it was like this, for somebody who maybe didn't go to war, this is what it feels like to try to sleep overseas in a war.
That was a good analogy. And I mean, we had about 5 rigs with us this weekend, and so traditionally in the desert camping, you kind of wagon train around in a circle. A lot of people put out cones, they put out tape, so most of the camps are pretty well marked, at least when you're rolling around at night. So
yeah, would you say that it's a safe bet to, if you think you're going to come out here and try to find a secluded spot where it's going to be quiet and you're not going to be near anybody else, you're probably mistaken.
You can camp. There are some areas like Cougar Buttes, and there are areas that you can camp that are a little bit farther out. But getting in and out of here is the challenge. There's a lot of traffic coming in and out to come in and out the gate. So you can do that. You can get a little farther out. You're going to probably drive about 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then add to that, sometimes the line coming down the road to get in the gate can be pretty long. It can be done, though. We have quite a few people who are staying at Airbnbs that we know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right, weather. Let's talk about weather. I know last year, it was kind of crazy last year at the very beginning of the event, because you have King of the Motos ahead of time, and then you have King of the Hammers, which runs. So this is almost 3 weeks long when this gets set up and more people come in and leave. Last year at one point, there were pictures of snow on the ground, and we were very surprised, and we were like, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to camp. Like, that's pretty cold. And then we came out the following weekend, and we were in shorts and flip-flops, and it was probably mid-70s. So talk about the weather, what you thought from preparing to come here to what you saw.
So I think what people have to realize is that this is the high desert in the desert Southwest, right? We are fairly close to Joshua Tree National Park from here. We are kind of sitting at elevation a little bit. So during the day, like right now at, almost noon, it's going to be anywhere from 60 to 75 or 80 degrees. At night, I'm 70 degrees right now.
Yeah.
At night, even though it'll show you that it might only drop down to 45, last night it dropped down into the very low 30s.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that there's a big transition that you are preparing for in how you dress, how you sleep. And then the other really big thing for weather, specifically this year, is there wasn't any rain prior to this race out here for several weeks. And with all the vehicles and everybody running around, it is 100% a dust bowl. Everybody I guess the group of our friends that came out here said that this is way dustier than it was last year when you guys were out here.
Yeah, it changes from, you might have 2 or 3 days of certain kind of weather, or 2 or 3 days of this kind of dust. Like next weekend when we come, it could be a completely different experience.
Yeah.
So depending on how the wind speed, and there's a lot of different things it depends on. So yeah, this is definitely the dustiest that I've been out here, but I know it's pretty common.
Yeah, so just, again, like we're in shorts and t-shirts during the day. About mid-afternoon to late afternoon, we go to hoodies and long pants, and by nighttime we're wearing thick jackets, beanies.
I'm in base layers. I can't handle the cold at all, so I'm sleeping in base layers for sure.
So, that's what you're preparing for. You're preparing for what dramatic temperature shifts. There hasn't been much wind this year, which is again why there's probably a lot of dust in the air. Nothing's kind of blown it back out through the valley. Weather-wise, prepare for anything. I mean, last year about this time of year we were in Joshua Tree and we got snowed on.
Oh gosh.
And again, that's only I think 30 miles, east of here. So.
But I did say bring shorts.
You did say bring shorts.
And you laughed at me, but look, here we are.
Here we are in
sitting
shorts.
in shorts.
Yep.
And last year that was in April, and this is the first week of February, so it's true.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Next, let's talk about like some of the different facilities and different things like that people have when they come out here. You're not just, okay, we're out in the middle of the desert, hope you have to bring everything that you need. So let's talk about some of the things.
So I guess we'll start from the beginning, right? When you come down the hill into King of the Hammers, into Johnson Valley, you're going to hit the gate. The line is long. Be patient. Know this, that is one of the most efficient gates that I have ever seen at an event. Every single person out there at some point worked at a Chick-fil-A drive-thru because that is
In-N-Out.
to get the amount of rigs, toy haulers, wagons, everything that you can imagine is coming through that gate, and they are getting people in, checking you in with your wristband as long as you did your stuff ahead of time.
And your release.
Right? You have to show them your waiver, your liability release for being out here. They get you in and get you moving quick. Now, once you get through the gate, the first thing you're going to see on the right is what's called the 40. And the 40, they've got a stage there. They've got some food that you can get there. They've got several different breweries and bars that are set up there. There is a 40 stand itself that sells swag from the 40. So you can get trail flags, you can get t-shirts, big straw hats, which I might have by next weekend.
They are so cool. And at night, it's all lit up. There's usually different sponsors will host different parties. So I think next Saturday night is the Baja Designs party at the 40.
Okay.
It's all lit up at night. There's always great bands that are in there. It's a cool spot for sure, and there's always big bonfires in there at night as well. It's a nice place to stay warm. Last year I got separated from my group, and none of my group had a signal. I had a signal, and so it's a great place also to just kind of like, okay, if everyone gets lost, meet at the 40.
Yeah, no, we had our first day we came in here, we stopped and had some sangria from Pelter.
Oh, it's from Pelter,
and it was absolutely amazing. And we sat there at a table and we made a really great, our first night here video. As you can see right here, we had a beautiful view, nice table, big thing of sangria, and I had our mics turned off. So it was a really great intro video to the weekend that does nothing but look good. And also, it was a great opportunity to see what it's like to take a video in a public place when we had Dexter with us.
Oh my gosh.
Because we got interrupted every 10 seconds, can I pet that dog? That was
cool though.
That was it.
I always do that. When I stop in, that's the first place I stop in, and it's a great place to just you're on the road for a couple of hours.
Yeah,
so
stop and get a drink when you get here.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone in there is just so nice too. It's a great kind of welcome into the event.
So once you get past the 40, you're kind of going down a main strip, and that main strip takes you all the way to the race start line and the stage where people come back and they announce the winners and they do the interviews and stuff. And that's inside Vendor Village. Vendor Village is really what you would call Hammertown.
Yeah.
Right? I call it Vendor Village. It's a roped off area. You have to go through security to get in there, again, to make sure that you paid, because there are different ways into Johnson Valley without coming through the main gate. And on that road, there is camping as far as you can see on both sides. So race teams, spectators, everybody's got their trailers, and it just launches out from there in a spider web of roads. If you imagine a grid of roads that go one way and roads that go across, that is the worst way to imagine this place. Imagine a spider web of everything just doing this, and that's how people drive here, and that's how they camp. And they just drop their rig where there's a flat spot, and they put a big thing of tape around it, and they're like, my spot. They've planted their flag, boom, stay out of their spot. And So towards the end of that, you get to Vendor Village. You've got a couple different entrances into Vendor Village or Hammertown. Either way, you're going through a security guard. I will once again give a shout out to the people running this event, both at the main gate, who are so fast at getting you in, and the security guards that are getting you in and out of Vendor Village. Those were some of the nicest people at events that I've ever dealt with. I stopped and talked to one of them last weekend when I was out here for King of the Motos a little bit, and just genuinely really nice people. They do not take their security badge too seriously. They are like, hey man, you got your band? Yep, got it. Okay, hey, you guys have a great time. And they're genuinely pretty nice people, and they're trying to get you in and out quick. So right there by the main gate into Vendor Village, you've got a swag truck that's actual King of the Hammer swag.
They had some great stuff this year. It's the 20th anniversary this year.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to admit that I hadn't ever bought King of the Hammer swag before. I'm a little bougie, or I don't know, just because I'm a designer, so I'm always looking at design. So there's certain places that I always buy from out here. But they had some great stuff this year. You came back that first day that you had stopped in with some stuff, and I was like, wait, I need one of those. I need one of those. So yeah, they had some really, really good stuff this year. So if you get a chance to grab some of that 20th anniversary swag, I would definitely stop up there.
Highlight on the custom Dixon, specifically made for King of the Hammers.
Yes.
And they had a men's version, a women's version, and then they had a little...
They had the little toddler version.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
so cute.
If I knew a toddler, I'd get a little King of the Hammers.
If it fit Dexter, I'd buy it for him.
So pretty good swag there. And then you go in and you've got all the vendors you expect, right? You got all the wheel companies, tire companies. You've got swag companies here. Warren is here in force. They have a lot to do with this event. PRP Seats are here in force. They're selling seats, selling harness. People who fail their inspection because their seats are expired or their harnesses are expired, they run over there. PRP hooks them up, sets them up with seats, sells them everything that they need to get going. They had a lot going on display there.
Yeah.
So
there's welders set up out here.
If you break it, they can fix it out here.
Yeah, there's like all kinds of different people set up along the main drag there. And so, yeah, there's, it's just amazing. It's like a whole city just sets up for 3 weeks, and then you come back the next weekend and the whole city's gone.
Yep. So facilities-wise, that's what you're looking at for vendors. Now, food. Once you get into Vendor Village, there is
Everything.
it's almost like you're at a carnival. I have eaten a third of my weight in corn dogs over the last couple of days. For those who don't know, I have an addiction to corn dogs.
You do.
It is. I am not ashamed of it. And I love a good corn dog. And there was like 3 different places in there that sell corn dogs, and I was like, man, this is like.
But we scored. We found the good place.
That was a good one. That's a good corn dog. That's a quality corn dog. As a corn dog connoisseur,
right.
That was a quality corn dog. So but there was tacos, there was ice cream, crepes, coffee, burgers,
some barbecue, I think.
Yeah, barbecue.
There's food trucks at the 40 too. They had poke bowls. And there was a pizza truck in there.
Yeah, there was a pizza truck. This pizza truck smelled
there was
good
actually
too.
they had pizzas over here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much everything. And then they also had a general store.
Yeah, they had a general store in there. So if you're camping out here and, you need your loaf of bread or, whatever.
A little portable propane.
Yeah, a little portable propane. So, and I'm sure you're paying event prices for that stuff. I didn't look. We didn't need anything, but...
Yeah.
The fact that you can run there and get it without leaving the event, heading all the way back out to, Morongo Valley.
Yeah. And then, like you said, if there's anything you really truly forget, town is not that far from here.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Yeah.
You just have to leave the event and come back in.
All right, so let's talk about some other logistics, maps, trails, cell service. Let's talk about some of that.
All right, so I'll cover cell service. We have almost no cell service out here. You can kind of bounce on here and there, maybe up at the gate. There was a spot where I actually had one bar.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm an AT&T guy. Who do you use?
I'm Verizon, and I actually was the only person who had cell service last year. I didn't have it all over, but I had it in Hammertown. I had it at the 40. I think I've actually had pretty good service here, but we're sitting up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So I've had a couple of bars the whole time. It's just loads super slow though. So if you're trying to map yourself to somewhere, I wouldn't rely on that part.
No, not at all.
No.
I would count on not having good cell service.
Absolutely.
Because there's so many people out here that those that do have service are definitely overloading the towers.
Yeah, you have to plan to communicate with your group in a different way.
Yeah, there are a lot of people walking around with just the handheld radios
Yeah.
set to a channel, and their group's all on the channel, and that's how they're communicating. Because line of sight, the handhelds are actually pretty effective out here.
Yeah.
I brought out the Starlink, right? So we have a Starlink Mini that we use when we go camping, and that's been pretty bomb. You can tell that a lot of people out here have Starlink because this is the slowest I've ever seen it at 70 or 80 megabytes per second download speed. So whatever poor satellite sitting over Johnson Valley right now is getting its workout in, and
Except they're smoking.
Elon Musk is like, what's wrong with that one satellite? It's not doing its job. And we're like, but it tells you how spoiled we are, right? That 80 megabytes per second download speed is slow, when usually that thing's like 200 or 250. It's a firecracker. So I've been happy to have that out here. I power it with some small 250 watt ISCO batteries that I keep it powered with a 100 watt solar panel from Renogy. So that's, I guess, that's the cellular and communications. April and I use different mapping services. So I'm a Trails off-road guy. Trails off-road, I have California maps downloaded, and it gets me around this area pretty good. It shows me where Turkey Claw, even with no service, it shows me where Turkey Claw and Chocolate Thunder and the Back Door and all of the trails around here. And we kind of use those as waypoints when we're going from one spot to another, like, okay, head towards Turkey Claw. So Trails worked for me pretty good.
And the nice thing about Trails is it actually showed a lot of these little sub paths through here. Mm-hmm. So when you open up other maps, you can see, when I'm looking at a view where I can see like what's the view called when it looks like a picture of the map?
Oh yeah, it shows you like the topography.
Yeah. So I could kind of see it, but when we came in and late and it was dark and we're looking for our campsite, Trails Off-Road was great because it actually showed a lot of these sub-trails out here.
Now, the event itself is sponsored by Onyx, and I have not switched over to Onyx yet. It's probably a thing I'll do in the future. So I would imagine that you're going to get the same kind of quality out of Onyx Off-Road as you would have gotten out of Trails. It just happens to be, for me, the thing that I have in my rig, and I already have California downloaded.
And they had QR codes at the gate and at the 40, actually all over the place. They have some sandwich boards with QR codes set up, and if you scan it, they already have a complete event map of this entire event. So it shows the race course, and it shows everything if you go on and you scan that QR code and download it. So, and then I think one of the other tips, like I said, if you're just trying to meet people out here, we were able to drop a pin.
Yep.
Now you just don't have enough of a service to navigate to that pin. If you try to navigate to it, it's just going to load and load and load. But if you just leave the map open, it shows your blue dot, and it shows the blue dot everywhere you're trying to go. And there's enough little roads out here that you can just drive and drive until those two dots overlapped. And so we learned that from last year, and when our crew came in later after we got here the next day, they said it worked great for them.
I guess logistically, the last tip I would say for sure is, so anybody that follows me or April, we always have our co-pilot Dexter with us. When we go camping, Dexter is usually never on a leash. He kind of runs around our campsite and runs free. This is not a place, if you bring a dog out here and it is not on leash, then, pardon my French, I think you're a shitty dog owner, because there is too much going around and too many people running in different vehicles so close to your campsite that if your dog is not, on a leash, kind of held into a contained area, I think you're really putting your dog at risk. And you guys were talking last night about the fireworks and dogs that go missing.
There was a dog Friday night. There was a post up that the fireworks spooked their dog. They were in a little campsite, and it was a little one too. I think it was like a little Maltese or something. And I hadn't heard if they found it, but yeah, there's a lot going on out here. This isn't a place to really have your dog off leash. And not only that, but even when we were in the 40, when we first got here, there's dogs all in there. When we were over at Vendor Village, everyone had dogs.
It's a very dog-friendly place.
It is very dog-friendly.
But just take care of your dog.
Exactly. Just be aware that this isn't a place that you want to make sure your dog's on a leash, but you also just want to be aware of what's going on around you. Just, not stress out your animal. All right.
All right.
So one of the silly things I want to do. So describe this weekend, give me 3 smells.
3 smells?
3 smells.
Okay, so dirt. That's a smell. If you don't know what dirt smells like, then you've lived a pretty good life, but dirt is definitely a smell.
Okay.
The smell of exhaust is for sure in the air. It is 100% floating everywhere, right? And it's a mix of diesel, high test, MoGas, like you name it. It's getting burned out here in something. Somebody's probably cruising around on something that's being burned by vegetable oil. But so exhaust smell. And then the last smell I would say is the delicious smell of corn dogs being made
Oh, gosh.
at several stands that were right beside each other. It's such an inviting smell. It says, hey, we're here to give you a smile and happiness on a stick.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Next one. Give me 3 sounds. What's it sound like out here?
So it's never quiet. So there's not silence at all, ever. It is a mix of engines that were built by professionals. And I'll say that because we're camping and the ridgeline near us is one of the areas where the track goes. And so we have all these people driving past our site, so you hear all the standard, engine sounds. But when you hear one of those, trophy trucks or, side-by-sides, buggies that have been built out with a really high-performance engine, you can't miss it. I mean, that thing sounds like a sewing machine on steroids. It is just absolutely purring away, and they sound great. The other thing that I would say sound-wise, my second sound is a hum.
Yes.
Last night we were talking about it. There's so many trailers out here, and so many people are running their own generators, as well as King of the Hammers itself, for all of their facilities has generators. So there's never a time when there's not a background hum of 10,000 collective generators all humming together. And then I would say the last sound that you could describe is a compilation of every sort of music you could pick. And I don't know if there's a genre of music that hasn't been blasting out of somebody's side-by-side as it's driven past our, she and I, we love Cuban salsa music, right? So we're blasting that, and, you hear people go by, that one guy's got an air horn, it's like, then another guy goes by and he's got an air horn, and it's like, what was the one that...
One looked like it was like a train.
Yeah, it was like train horns. I mean, there's a lot of different music and stuff going on out here.
And we could hear the music from the 40 too at one night.
We could hear the
was
music
just
from the 40,
straight
yeah.
up here
so,
from the concert.
There was like a rap battle for a while where somebody was blasting West Coast rap and another campsite was blasting East Coast rap, and we're West Coast rap all the way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All the way.
Absolutely. Okay. The 3 most interesting things or unusual things you've seen out here. If you had to describe KOH in 3 visual pictures.
Oh, 3 of the most interesting things that I have seen out here.
Or just something, just a site that when you just looked at it, you're like, okay, I'm getting a grasp of what KOH is really about.
So 3 things that stand out, a picture in my mind is exhausted vendors, right? As we walked through Vendor Village yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday was a busy day. It was a Saturday, the first race weekend. A lot of the vendors were like, woof, man, I kind of wanted to give them each a monster. Wake up, you're doing good. You're almost halfway through. So that's one thing you see. I will add to that, and that tired or not, we didn't have a negative vendor experience with any of them.
No.
How to describe some of the homemade contraptions driving around the desert right now, right? Like that, when I said if it can be built in a backyard, it's rolling around out here, you guys might think I'm trying to be funny. I am not.
We'll have to show the picture of the, remember, I don't even know what that was. The tricycle with the bull horns on it yesterday.
Yeah, so yes, that's a prime example.
Put a picture.
We'll put a picture. It'll be right here. There was a 3-wheeler, an old 3-wheeler, but it was a small, a kid's version of a 3-wheeler, and it had, you know, steer, like longhorn steer horns for handlebars, and then it had tracks, like tank tracks for wheels. It was absolutely insane. That's kind of an example we're talking about. People are rolling around on here, you know, but that's also a cool thing, because I look at some of these guys and I'm like, man, you know, you tore this thing apart in your garage or your yard or your driveway, and you got out a welder and you started putting tubing together and threw a motor in it. Somehow it had suspension to it and a drive line, and now you're ripping around the desert. Like, that's cool.
And there were a few things, I think we had a discussion when we were up watching the race yesterday and we were posted up by the course. There were a few things that rolled up that you and I looked at and were like, what do you think that was in the beginning?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, what did this start off as?
Yeah.
We weren't really sure.
Yeah.
And then the last picture in my head is that there is, you know, I would say the Chocolate Thunder subculture, right? There is, again, you know, we talked about that at the beginning of this video. You can, you know, I'm not a younger guy anymore, right? But, you know, I'm 51, and I was telling her last night, like, man, if I was 20 years ago, I would be over there at Chocolate Thunder, probably flipping over my rig and looking for somebody to fight, you know, because those guys, I mean, they stand out, right? You can see them running around here and they don't give up. They don't care. You know, they don't give a bleep. I just bleeped it out. They do not care about what's going on. They just want to go tear it up a little bit. And
I mean, you can see it. I mean, you haven't really been able to experience it this weekend, and I hope you get to next weekend. But at night, you can see it from like, it doesn't matter where you are in this valley, that whole hillside is lit up.
Our first night, we've got some drone video that we'll put up or add into a different video from our campsite. We sent our drone up a little bit and you can see Chocolate Thunder, and it's like dark mountains, and then there's just this lighted highway that goes all the way up this mountain, and that's everybody that's over at Chocolate Thunder, and they're over there just absolutely raise hell, praise Dale.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, and then like vendors actually have second booths outside of Vendor Village set up, up at Chocolate Thunder as well. So I mean, if you haven't done it, it's definitely something to go experience at least once for sure.
For sure. All right, so we are heading back into the east of here for the next couple of nights, and then I'll be out here probably Tuesday or Wednesday, because some friends from the East Coast, Texas, Colorado, you know who you guys are all coming into town, and I can't wait to see you. And so I'll be out here back and forth this week a little bit, and then we're going to plan on being out here Thursday night for good until the completion of the event through the Race of Kings and everything next weekend. But thanks for hanging out with us for this little intro into our event coverage, I guess, if you want to call it that.
I mean, it's just, you know, what's it like as a first timer?
What's it like as a first timer? It's overwhelming and super dusty. So just know that wearing black is really not going to stay black, and you might want to have one of those little face balaclavas or some little gator to pull up, because it just gets unbelievably dusty. Outside of that, anything else for you?
I think no. I'm just excited to come back next week. And next week we have the main races. Everyman is happening. Everyman qualifying is happening this week, and the Everyman race next week. Just excited to come back out here and see more of what's going on. It's a great event.
It's going to be a good time. So with that, we'll close it out. If you appreciate what you're seeing or want to encourage us to do more, first, by all means, send us a note if you think there's something that we could do better. We're learning this as we go. We definitely take constructive criticism very well. Second, if you would be willing to like and follow, that would be helpful to us as we're trying to get this thing kicked off a little bit. Share it with some of your friends, you know, if you think something that we do is interesting. Our videos are not going to be a very, you know, one thing centric. We're going to test review on equipment, stuff that we've set up, our rigs, as well as events, camping trips, epic adventures that we're going to try to go on, and, you know, a little bit more here and there. So
and just being true to us.
This is us. It's not an internet face. So with that, we'll close it out. As always, y'all be cool.